Come on, please. Yes! 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 Yes!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 9-Dar Podcast, your one-stop shop for talking tungsten. Episode 15. We're back after a couple of weeks away, thanks to this man going away for Easter. Hello, Josh. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Yes, apologies to all our fans. We are back for a magnificent, fantastic show, and hopefully you all had a good Easter break.
Yes, absolutely.
You,
yes. Thank you very much. We'll get underway. We've missed a bit. There's a bit going on. It shouldn't be too long, though, because we sort of condense stuff into different segments. But we'll get underway with the first thoughts. And it is Premier League is wide open. I said on this particular program that we basically had Humphreys and Littler guaranteed. Then we had 4 players, Van Gerwen, Aspinall, Cross and Price.
Yep.
Those 4 players fighting over 2 spots, and Dobey and Bunting were out the back. But now, with the way the last really 3 weeks have gone, if you want to go back to Berlin when Bunting saluted in night 9, realistically, everyone's within a chance. Humphreys isn't quite as safe. He's probably still going to be there, but he probably needs a couple more wins and a bit more confidence. Littler's still out on top, so he'll be there. But now, all of a sudden, it feels more like 6, if not 7 players fighting over 2 or 3 spots. So things are exciting and have heated up in this year's Premier League.
No, it's very open. Absolutely. It's good to see. We'll get to the table in just a moment. But no, it's good to see people getting wins on the board. We saw Dobey and Bunting get recent wins in recent nights. So that's good to see, being on the bottom end of the table. And they're pushing up. So it's very open, mate. It's very open.
It's very open. It's very exciting. The best players in the world are duking it out. Since we've gone here at the 9-Dar Podcast, we've seen not one but 2 stage 9-darters. We had Go and Price hit one against Luke Littler. He became the second player to hit a 9-darter against Littler on stage. The first guy was your man, Steve West, at the Super Series.
Yes, Westy.
All those years ago. And Michael Van Gerwen also struck perfection recently at the a European Tour event in Germany over the Easter weekend, hence why we're in green, because he's back in form, and hence why he's on the thumbnail for this particular week, because it's the first time we've had MVG on the thumbnail. He's been all over the place, but he looked to be in much better form, so a couple of crazy moments there. In addition, Luke Littler, again, reeling in the 170.
What's new?
It was, I think he had a 145 setup as well with 25 and a couple of treble 20, so that's 315 and 6. So once again, Luke Littler is reeling in the big fish, though we have a bit of news on him later on. It wasn't the most enjoyable weekend for him out there. But in terms of the best story, we've sort of combined the 2 last Premier League nights together, because Nathan Aspinall and Chris Dobey, men who were sort of all over the place in this year's Premier League, hadn't really shown maybe the greatest of stuff.
In that bottom 4 or 5.
They were in that bottom 4 there. All of a sudden, they picked up nightly wins. Nathan Aspinall at Manchester and Chris Dobey in Rotterdam. And it must be said that these 2 men were the best players on those particular Premier League nights.
Absolutely. No, I watched both, and I loved Aspinall in particular. He's been off and on in his form, has had some good purple patches, then came back a bit, but he was very consistent and very well deserving of that nightly win. Similar for Dobey, he was very good as well, but ultimately it's good to see these 2 guys at the bottom end of the table push up and now get themselves in a potential finals night campaign down the track.
100%, because Nathan Aspinall, when he won that Premier League night in Manchester, he went to 4th, and with a victory over Go and Price last time out in Rotterdam, he's gone to 3rd on the table all of a sudden.
Yep.
So someone he's solidified himself a little bit more now with his the Premier League table. So as you said, very, very strong performances from both men. Nathan Aspinall picking up victories over Cross, and then Van Gerwen, and then Humphreys, and all in reasonably, particularly those first 2, reasonably comfortable 6-2, and then was a 6-4 victory over Humphreys. And then in Rotterdam, Chris Dobey, who probably wouldn't have been anyone's pick to win the night going into it.
Not for us.
6-3 Humphreys, 6-2 Aspinall, and then 6-2 over Bunting.
So not only 100 averages as well.
Relatively convincing, all just above that 3-figure mark.
Yep.
So, very strong performances across the board from Hollywood and the Asp recently in the Premier League. So, after night 11, so remarkably, there's only 6 nights left of this year's Premier League, including the finals night. Here is how things stand. Littler is miles in front. Well, I say miles in front. He's only a night and a half in front, but that is a big distance. 4 nightly wins, still searching for that 5th. He's on 30 points. Humphreys 23. Historically speaking, 24 is about what you need to do, so he probably needs another win or 2 to get into that top 4. Then Aspinall 17, Price 15, Van Gerwen 15, and you can see there that leg difference hurt by the fact that he didn't play a few weeks ago and lost -6. it could very well come back to haunt him. You feel like he's going to
could.
need to go
It
out
could.
right because he's not going to pick it up on leg difference. Dobey on 12, he moves to 6th. It was a little bit funny with Dobey because if Bunting won that match, that final in Rotterdam, who also had a very good night, Stephen, he won 2 matches 6-5. Even though he deserved to win both by bigger scorelines, I've got no idea how Van Gogh won 5 legs and nearly pulled off that upset miracle victory there in the Netherlands because Bunting was miles better. But nevertheless, had Bunting beat Dobey in that Rotterdam final, Dobey, who had won 2 games that night and played quite well, would have been relegated to last because they would have been both on 10 and Bunting would have had the tiebreaker on nights 1. As it is, Bunting is still last, but he's moving in a positive direction in terms of he's got points on the board. He's made 2 nightly finals, won 1, lost 1. So Dobey and Cross together on 12. Is there a sense? I said 24's been the magic number. I sort of sense with the way things are going, you might not even need that many.
It's very tight. You're right.
With sort of they're going to play obviously each other and pick points off each other. It may only be something maybe a few points lower, which is good for Bunting and Cross and Dobey.
21. I don't know. I'm just looking here. What was I say? 3rd to 7 is all within 5 points, 17 and 12. So incredibly tight. Again, that leg difference is going to be the killer there. Bunting minus 26.
Bunting and Van Gogh and even Cross sort of stand out as the 3 that are in a bit trouble. Dobey now with a few recent good performances and those strong wins. So a couple of +4s there have really helped his leg difference big time.
Sure.
And all of a sudden he's looking very handsomely with the way he's playing and only 3 points and leg difference away from the top 4. So what? If you win, so if Price, for example, or Van Gogh, and so the guys on 15, if they win just one match, so they make the semi-final for the next 5 nights, that's 10 points, that gets you to 25.
Yep.
So someone who can average that is pretty much guaranteed. You might not even need to win all of those, even one less win, only 4 of the 5 might be enough. It's all about those quarterfinals are going to be crucial because someone's going to pick up a couple of points when someone isn't, and it's all about doing stuff when a guy's around, you're not doing timing, so important in darts.
That's right.
But a good couple of weeks from Aspinall and Dobey, and the best story really is the fact that this Premier League, which looked like it wasn't going to be as competitive, has in the last real 3 weeks, again going back to Bunting's win in Berlin, have sort of brought the pack back together. Bunting probably is still feeling a bit detached there at the moment, but he's not that far away.
If he picks up a nightly win and has a couple good campaigns, he gets a 6-2, 6-1 in there, gets a good healthy leg difference, that pushes him up very, very quickly. It might not seem like a long time, but you get some really solid victories paired along with the nightly win.
Even with wins unless he wins has a couple of whitewashes or 6-1s, I don't think the leg difference is ever going to be eradicated enough. He's going to need to win it.
That's true.
He's going to need to win it outright on points if he's going to make finals night at the O2, which I didn't think we'd be talking about.
No, but who knows? We'll find out very shortly.
We love our Aussies doing well at extra time. As we really saw the idea of extra time when it was sort of imagined back sort of when did this begin? Late 2023, which is before I came along and comfortably before you came along, Josh. Anyway, Damon Heta, the Australian #1, the only Australian with the tour card holder. Damon Heta's on fire to the tune of Bruce Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark because event 13 of this year's Play Championship Series has been won by the Heat last week, and he beat some of the big names weren't there. They didn't really want to travel to. I think it was in the Netherlands, but Aspinall was there, and that's who he beat in the final. Unfortunately, though,
in the Premier League for a reason.
Unfortunately, we don't have any footage of it because the footage died for the last half of the match, so that was disappointing.
PDC, come on now. Fix your streams, right?
Anyway, that's okay because Damon Heta, who does like to pick up a Players Championship around this time and get himself into a bit of form, he's one of the strongest floor players basically in the world since he became a tour card holder back in, what was that, 2020?
2020, yeah, absolutely. No, he's been great on the floor. Good to see him pick up a Players Championship win. Everyone loves his theme song, don't they? It's everywhere on the internet. And then for Johnny Clayton, event 14, he's been very good. He spoke, I think it was a post-match interview or went online and said that he's back. He's in some sort of good form, which was good to see. So,
yes, he's had a strong start to the year with making that final at the World Masters and showing some good form throughout, and he's been rewarded with a couple of World Series places, which we'll get to later. At the moment, just looking, he's currently 6th in the world, some not quite £20,000 behind Rob Cross sitting in 5th. And Damon Heta was up until 7th, and if they continue this form, they might be in conversation for next year's Premier League. We will see. Yes, so now it finally happened. It took us 11 nights, but Gowan Price has had his annual Premier League whinge. There's probably still 2 or 3 coming, to be fair.
It probably
he
is.
likes
Wouldn't be
this. I
surprised.
told you at the moment he was selected for this year's Premier League. I didn't like it because of the way he behaved last year, and he's going to be even more grumpier. And here he is, and we're going to talk a little bit about this in a moment in the great debate. We've actually got quite a few. You've brought a couple of great debates,
Yes, thank you.
which look good. So he was gutted for his performance. He did look quite uninterested, I think, to say, in going to Rotterdam. Was that a fair assessment
Bit
of?
blasé, a bit meh. I guess that's one way to put it. Probably not the best adjective for it, but no, you're exactly right. Just didn't look interested, didn't look excited, just a bit flat, really. I guess that's one way to put it.
Yeah, so he was not happy with the venue for particular reasons we might get to in a second, but he was definitely the biggest flop of the Premier League night. I think Van Gogh stats might have even looked less, but Van Gogh was trying and kept it close miraculously, where Gowan Price averaged 94 without even trying, which shows you how good he is, but he looked quite uninterested throughout the second half of his 6-3 loss to Nathan Aspinall. It's all about people being grumpy this week, because Littler wasn't happy either. That was disappointing. He lost to Jan van Veen, who was very good on the European tour this weekend. I don't think he's going to play many of these German European tours, and nor he doesn't need to with his world ranking.
No, absolutely not.
So more time on the Xbox, I think, for Littler.
Or playing FIFA and opening FIFA packs, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that was a bit disappointing. He still had a good weekend, all things considered, but I think he just ran out of steam for that match against Van Veen, who I still think is going to win a major one day. Is that good?
So agree. Yeah, I think I've mentioned it on this program as well some months ago that he's one to watch, and we both agree on that.
Yeah, I've been big on him for quite a while now. But Littler had a fine weekend. He played in the Premier League and with a sort of weird setup, which we'll get to just in a moment. But he was good. Now, this one, is this disappointing or is it just funny? I don't know. Scott Williams wasn't happy with someone in the crowd. I think they shouted something at him, and so I think these were practice darts as well. So
it was
this is how it shows how good Scott Williams is. He's able to give someone the middle finger mid throw.
It is pretty funny. Yeah, there was a fan that said "F you" and just he just sort of took that a bit to heart, I guess, or a bit of funny back and forth. I don't know. And he's mid throw and he flicks the bird up in the process, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know. Is it disappointing? Is it funny? Maybe a bit of both.
It's all a bit of everything, I think. I'm almost certain there's a DRA fine coming his way for doing that.
That's the disappointing moment or the disappointing part of it, that he'll get some sort of fine coming his way, I'm sure.
Yes.
To what extent, we don't know, but we'll keep an eye on that for sure.
Not sure. Knowing the DRA website, they're probably not even going to even know. He probably
That's
just gets
true.
one phone call and they'll pay it immediately because he probably knew as soon as he did it. Right, I'm going to get pinged for that. But going back to Rotterdam and what sort of Gowan Price was mentioning, it's always been a controversial venue. Now, obviously, it's a great place and the fans get involved and they're all decked out in their orange. But it's always a big venue and there's always this draft coming through, and that's why Gowan Price was particularly upset. Players who have that sort of longer setup, which him and Luke Humphreys the longest setup, are the ones that are most affected, which is why he was saying that it isn't exactly the same for everyone, which is true, but you're all playing in the same environment, so in a sense it is also the same for everyone. Should Rotterdam, should we look elsewhere in the Netherlands for another event, is the question I've got, because that draft has played a big factor for a number of years now. Luke Littler played with 26 gram darts. I think he had the molded setup too, the sort of all-in-one flight setup. He does 26 grams. That was 3 grams heavier than what he usually throws, which is 23, which is the tour average pretty much.
I was going to say the average around is 21 to 23. So if you're getting up to the 26-30 range, it's deemed as heavier darts.
On the other end of the scales, of course, Stephen Bunting, who I think he played with 18, but he did bring 23 gram darts, which is 5 grams heavier with him to this particular Premier League night. What are your thoughts on the Premier League in Rotterdam?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's got a healthy crowd for the most part, but again, it just begs that question that's been said online. I'm not sure, to be honest. It's sort of up in the air for me, but I mean, if it brings good numbers in, then I don't know. I think there's an element of the PDC wanting the money out of it, but I'm not sure. What's your take on it?
It's an interesting one. You would have to be 100% certain with the venue you're going to go to as well. Now, with the way darts is at the moment, there is tons of venues that would love to get even just one night of top-level action at the moment, or even lower level action, as we'll see later with the Premier League and Oz. So It is an interesting one. Obviously, I've never been to this particular venue, so
No.
we can't speak as
No.
well as people who've been in there or have played on there. So I think this photo was from a few years ago, because I'm pretty sure that's James Wade, and it might even be Adrian Lewis there, and Paul Hinks on stage. I'm pretty sure Adrian Lewis.
Yeah, I'm
but I
trying to
don't
see
think that was in
sort of
Rotterdam.
middle left. I think you're right. I think you're right. Might be. I'm not sure, but no, that's definitely James White on the Oki.
It's definitely James Wade throwing.
Yeah,
he's got that unique style because he's the left-hander, so
Yep.
he stands to the Oki obviously differently. Anyway, look, Netherlands definitely deserve a Premier League night, obviously. And with someone like Michael van Gerwen and Barney back in the day, and Van Veen coming through, they're probably always going to have a Dutch player within the Premier League that's as good as guaranteed. So, and even if no Dutch players are there, they'll still get out. So it's just about finding the right venue. We've got Den Bosch, obviously, with the World Series event and a couple of European tours. It's also not just about the venue and how many people. It's also about transport, making sure people can get to and from it pretty easily. It's not too far away.
Yep.
So all of that needs to be taken into account. Should it move away? Yes, if there are better options with less draft. But does it probably need to be looked at? Probably, because you want the best conditions for your top level players, particularly in the Premier League. But as things stand, I'm not 100% sure if there is definitely a venue that would be good crowds, less draft, good transport links, and all of that at the moment that it certainly would replace Rotterdam. It's an interesting one. It's been talked about for quite a few years, basically since Rotterdam came in, and I think it was 2016 for the 2016 Premier League, because it's always been that draft issue in such a large arena. So it's one that's been kept an eye on for a while, and I'm sure we'll continue to do so. Netherlands definitely deserve a Premier League night. Is Rotterdam the right place for it? I'm unsure. It just depends. Is there a venue better than Rotterdam? Is really how it should be asked.
Isn't it? Yeah. True.
I will take a drink here as you discuss this one.
Yes.
Phil Taylor had some words on this particular Premier League lineup.
Yes, I had to bring this on the Great Debate segment because, the 16-time world champion, anything he says that's got to be put into a segment, doesn't it? Yes, he highlighted the Premier League for this year, in his words, as unbelievable. This is probably one of the best Premier Leagues I've seen. It's a pretty good lineup. We've talked about it recently on the podcast. Is there players that should have been in it? People are unlucky. Are they worthy of being in it? But to his eyes, it seems like it's a pretty good lineup.
It is a pretty strong lineup. The Lukes that obviously Michael and even Stephen sort of headline here, playing with world champions and current players who have done well and won in recent times. It's certainly it can't be that far away. Even if you take away one or two of these guys, it's probably still relatively up there. I probably need to have a look back and see what's sort of the best of all time. There's probably might be a few others that tweak it when you had Phil and MVG and AD and James in there. That might just come in. It's probably better to sort of look at this. There's two ways of looking at this, right? There's looking at it right now, and there's looking back on it in 5 years to see, so how well are they right now and how well they become. If all these guys end up winning a world title, then it looks extraordinary.
That's
but
so true.
Are you looking back at it with what it became, or are you contrasting to what was 2024? What were they like in 2024, and specifically how good the 2024 Premier League was as it was happening? Because it wasn't looking very interesting for a while, but the last 3 weeks have sort of turned it around a little bit, much needed.
Yes, exactly. Well, you can look at 5 years' time and said, was that Premier League good in comparison to now? Or you can take this year and go 5 years back to 2020, 2019 and go, hey, with the likes of, whoever it was in the 2020 Premier League as good, or was the group set up as good as what it is today? And that's you can look at it through multiple ways, as you said. But you can look at how many world titles they've got, what they're like on the floor. There's so many different things you can look at there. Yeah. But I got to say, it's pretty high up there from what we've seen so far, and that is because of how close it is now. Yeah, we saw the division from the sort of bottom 4 to the top 4, but now it's really sort of closed in as a result of the last sort of fortnight or so. So it's an interesting point to look at. It is.
It's taken its time. We probably need to spend a bit more time going back through the archives, looking at all those different ways of measuring those previous 21. Well, this is the 21st Premier League, I think, 21st or 22nd, somewhere around there. It started 2005. So, yeah, it would be the 21st. So Premier League lineup, it is a strong one, that's for sure. Is it the strongest ever? Probably not. But it might look really strong in a few years' time if guys like Stephen and Nathan and even Rob and Gerwin win more stuff. Chris as well, you can throw them in there.
Yes.
And obviously with the Lokes, we know they're going to win more titles as the years go on.
Yeah, that's without a doubt, as we know.
Gemma
for sure.
Hayter had some
Yes.
words on this. I do agree definitely with the bottom part that it was nice to see those women's series matches
Absolutely.
up on the PSC
Absolutely.
YouTube channel.
Had to highlight that. Yeah, 19K views after 20 hours. That says a lot. That says that people are interested in the game. People want to see the action. It's a good quality of darts. That's really good to see.
I noticed she was replying here to Dumb Americans 3. That could be any of
could
the
be
Americans.
anyone.
That could be anyone. That could be
I know,
half
yeah.
the country. Who's 2/3 of the
true.
country, maybe?
That's true. But no, one thing she mentioned on my highlight is the depth in the women's game. There are so many different players, as we know, and it keeps continuing to grow. Bo Greaves is obviously a great example, how well she's been in form, and we'll get to her performances in the women's series in just a moment, but she's been to highlight the standard for the game, but it's good to see the guys such as Gemma Hayter and Noah Lynn van Leuven, who also won an event.
Yes,
actually,
I'm just thinking in terms of, I don't know what we want from this women's series in Dart League. You can have different ways of how exactly you want this to go, with particularly how well these guys go on to play in Pro Tours, potentially get tour cards. It does seem quite top heavy. We do seem to be talking about quite a few of the guys. And I mean, it's same with the men's too, to be honest.
That's true.
But that's also part because we have the Premier League for the first half of the year that takes up so much attention. And it's the same 8 guys every week. It probably still feels a little bit too top heavy. It feels like almost every event is won by the same cast of about 3 or 4, and it has been for the women's game has been like that for a while when people like Trina Gulliver and Lisa Ashton were at their best. So it feels like it could go a bit deeper in terms of the depth of it. I still feel like it needs a bit more development on its way. But overall, it's in a reasonably good spot. But we probably need. I'd like to see a few more of those. The sort of
pool
bottom
being
half,
bigger.
Being bigger.
Well, she mentioned
There's ways to do that.
Yeah, I'll say she mentioned that. I didn't actually see it until now that the PDC need to have a hard look at the women's series. The entry numbers are declining rapidly every year. That's what we're talking about by being the top half, seeing them repeatedly. We've seen these women on the Modus Super Series Women's Week, and we'll also see some of the likes again. As you said, Trina Gulliver will be there in Group A, which we'll talk about in a moment's time.
So
but
we've got just looking at the women's
interesting.
series order of merit as of right now. Greaves is first, unsurprisingly. And Sherrick is second. Ashton is third. Van Leuven 4. Robin Byrne is fifth. So there's a slightly different name. And the woman who won the Women's Week, Chrissy is 6th, Jenna Hayter 7th, Win Stanley, O'Sullivan, Sheldon. So it's a lot of similar names. Paige Pauling is 15th, so that's someone who might very soon be right up there in that sort of top 8 contention. There's Gulliver there down in 35th. So it is a lot of the same names at the moment, which again is not unsurprising. I mean, every sport has sort of the same names, and then it takes you a few years. A few others haven't quite broken through as quickly as they might have. At this particular stage, Bo Greaves is, to just keep how far Bo Greaves is in front. I want to go as well, if I can find it, because I don't think it's just straight top 8. Women's World Match Play rates, Greaves, Van Leuven, Sherrick, Ashton, Byrne, Hayter, Venikainen, and Lorraine Winstanley, who's another one who's been around for a while, is currently 8. DeGraff, Kirkwood, O'Sullivan, Sheldon, just outside. Mikuru Suzuki, interestingly, 14th in the Women's World Match Play rate, outside the former champion of the world. Outside that cut-off there. I feel like I would like to see a bit more of that women's world match play, an expansion to 16 maybe I think would be awesome. So just to see a few more regular plays and a few more spots for them on television. We'll see. We still haven't got any news on the World Championship qualification, but hopefully there's a few more women's players. There's ways to do that, but I do think that big thing is that entry numbers declining, which sort of makes it easier for those top players to stay there because there isn't an influx of more players coming through.
That's a good point. Good point. Well, we'll keep eagerly watching this, undoubtedly, for sure, but hopefully there is a way that the PDC can get more numbers come through. But one of the good things was that, as you mentioned, 19,000 views after 20 hours. That's good.
That is strong.
That's a lot stronger than what we've seen in the past. So that's only a good sign. But I think what you mentioned in that top comment there is very true as well. To find a way to get the bottom half of the draw up, what other avenues can we find? What other players can we source that can bring that bottom half up to the top half and be more competitive at the top half of that range there?
Yes, alrighty. We'll get a few good topics of discussion there on the great debate. And we'll
Absolutely.
get now to the future star, which this week is Arthur Alston for a very strong week in the Foundation Tour. You know, a few of these JDC, when you look at the averages of some of the winners, it's somewhere in the sort of mid-50s, 60s. Good, but not quite future star material. Alston has had a very good, strong few tournaments in the JDC Foundation Tour, which I think is just sort of level down from their advanced tour. In event 10, he only dropped 3 legs in the first 6 matches. It included 90-plus averages along the way, and took out event 10 and then ended the weekend on a high by winning event 12 as well. So he's won 4 of those first 12 events from the Foundation Tour season as part of the JDC. He's currently a long way ahead in the... on the order of merit. He's a good sort of order of form. He's full 18 points in front of second place. He's on 45 points at this particular stage. So let me just get this right. At event 12, he had a 5-4 win over Callum Ryan. Many of these guys, almost all of these guys are English. And then you get the few occasional non-Englishmen along the way, and won 5-2 in the final over Ethan Baines in... event number 10. So a couple of wins there for Alston. 82 average in that final over Ryan, but then going back 90 average, 75, 83. So these are all, again, around that Q school mark that I like to talk about.
Yep.
That's
Great
sort of
point.
83 to 93 average. He's probably a little bit while from getting there on the consistent at the moment, but he has the ability to pop in 90-plus averages. So a very strong performance. The JDC always an interesting scene, and keep an eye on where the future of the sport might be coming. So Arthur Alston with that 82 average in the final, and plenty of plus 70, plus 80, even 90 plus averages is this week's future star, and a deserving one.
Absolutely.
With a strong lead at the moment after 12 events on the Foundation Tour. Right, we will have a look now at the latest news, and we've sort of waited a while to get to this particular one, but Michael van Gerwen, he won a European Tour event after the Premier League night that he had in Rotterdam, where he was a bit useless. He picked up the 4th event, defeating my man Jan van Veen in the final, 60% on the doubles, nearly 102 tournament average, 16 180s, and a 9 data on the way as well.
Pretty good.
Averaging all above 102. 102.49 against Highbreaks, 104.82 against Searle. He hit the 9 data, 105.2 against Joyce, 104.37 against Rock, with some of these top performances there. It was a very strong weekend from Mighty Mike, Josh.
Absolutely. And he's back in the green. Back in the green.
Well, yeah.
None of that black and gold crap, as you mentioned. You had a gripe about that. You disliked it very much.
Yeah,
so,
it
but
was
he's back.
not the way to go, but he's firmly stuck to green since that... Since that little Milton Keynes event,
Yes,
where he decided to deck out in black and gold, even though it was supposed to be this promotional thing, nobody really knew what was going on. But he got rid of that sensibly at the start of the Premier League, and he's stayed in that green and black ever since. And now he's won yet another title. It's something like his 35th European Tour or something. Ridiculous like that.
There was that comment under the photo on the left-hand side of the screen where he mentioned, "This means the world to me. I need this. I really need this." It shows
absolutely.
that he's been in some interesting form, but winning a tournament like this has been a really good thing for him. It was strong. It was
all
strong.
the way through the weekend. 100 averages. The only one that's not there is the
stats.
final, where he averaged 95.98. So there was a drop quite average in the final at the end of what would have been a long weekend for him.
Very long.
But he
got it
but
done.
other than
That's all
that,
matters,
he was very strong and made his way through. Jan van Veen coming through from the first round. Was he an Order of Merit qualifier? Was he a... Yes, he was an Order of Merit qualifier instead of coming through the European Tour qualifier. So it was a very strong. There were some good darts throughout the weekend. I didn't catch tons of it because of doing several other things and watching several other sport. But Van Gerwen was the standout right throughout this particular tournament, which was held, interestingly, on a Saturday, Sunday and Monday.
Yes.
As it was held over the Easter weekend. And obviously they weren't going to hold it on Good Friday.
No.
So it came back Saturday, Sunday and Monday. Good averages all the way through. Very strong performance from Mighty Mike. This is what he needs. But I'm still not convinced that, he's over his worst and we're never going to see Prime Michael again. We might never see Prime Michael from anyone again, other than maybe Littler.
I think we'll see the 1, 2, 3.4 where he's on a 9 data.
Yeah.
He had 17 perfect darts. I keep watching it. He doesn't get it.
Yeah,
It's
well,
so
those
sad.
types of performances will never happen again. But
Especially not.
In
Probably not, so-
I'm still not convinced though. We'll see what is A again. That was A plus, Michael. I'm still not sure we'll see A game Michael ever again because he's even at that Premier League he was still all over the place. So I'm expecting him to sort of go back to being a bit all over the place in this week's Premier League to sort of
That's
counteract
fair.
the fact
Yep.
that he was really strong in this particular weekend. It's a bit of all over the place for Michael. What you see is what you're going to get pretty
That's
much.
true.
If it looks
Yeah.
his throw looks good, he'll be playing well. If it doesn't, he'll be all over the place. So he's a bit of a hard one to predict at the moment, Michael. He's still got that fight. He's still got that winning game in him. He's still got title winning games in him.
Absolutely.
But it's just about producing it on the regular basis. And he's still, I need to see a couple more tournaments, a few more weeks. Much like your team in the AFL, Carlton, they won a couple of games, but I need to see it more consistently against better opposition. I need to see
Such
a
as
bit more
yours.
from Michael. Well, we'll see Sunday. But that's a bit more of a stronger and more consistent Michael before we get to allude
Absolutely. Spot on.
to
Yeah.
say that, he's over his worst and he's going to be, consistently fighting for titles again.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if he gets a nightly win this week. That I think.
If he picks up a nightly
I
win,
think
which he
if
hasn't done
does
yet,
that- yeah, I think if he does that, then he can say, okay, I'm really back here because winning this and a nightly win against a top Premier League lineup, I think that says a lot for him. So we hope for his sake that he gets it done, but we'll find out in our predictions later
look,
on.
all you need to do with this Premier League is just get to the O2, and
Yep.
then it's all about those two matches that night that you have to play. And it wouldn't be out of the what we've seen before from Michael in the Premier League, where he just does enough to get to the O2, and then he blitzes finals night and picks up what would be his 8th Premier League title because he's won it 7 times. Previously, all the format changes, all the different opponents, he has been a very regular, consistent Premier League. I think he's only missed finals night once or twice, and it might actually have only been once, which was he definitely missed in 2020 when
Yep.
COVID threw everything off its axis. Right, but Mighty Mike, he looks much stronger
He does.
with a victory at the German Darts Grand Prix. I've got more news on Michael, which hasn't really been reported about that much, despite the fact I think it's pretty big news. Anyway, we had more Women's Series action recently.
Yep.
And speaking of, the same sort of characters winning matches, Van Leuven, Sherrick, and Greaves winning tournaments, Josh.
Yes, they did. Yes, it was over that long weekend there. Good to see them get on the winners list. Bo Graves keeps going on her fantastic run. Sherrick is also very good, and Noah Lynn. Back-to-back Women's Series victories, so that was very good for her. But no, overall, a very good standard across the board, and that sort of Q school standards we talk about, the sort of hovering over 90 overall, very good. So good to see them get those victories. And it's good to see that women's space also expanding. Yes, we're saying the sort of top level continuing to win, but hopefully we can get some more pushing through. But good on all of them, for sure.
Absolutely. So, just speaking a bit more on Greaves, she's currently sitting second in the Challenge Tour Order of Merit and first on the Development Tour Order of Merit, as well as obviously being first in the Women's Series and the race for the Women's World Match Play.
Yep.
I think the PDC can almost give her a tour card for next year right now.
Pretty
to be
much.
honest. She's pretty
Yep.
much guaranteed it if she wishes to take it.
That's true.
Yes, so Greaves again very strong in picking up yet another title. Van Leuven was good over that 9 and 10, winning those couple of matches back to back, and then Sherrick and Greaves also winning events. Now, this was news that dropped about a week ago, I think it was.
Yep.
And I saw it because Stephen Bunting was all very happy posting the flag and hashtag Let's Go Bunting Mental. We have fields confirmed for the World Series of Darts. I do think the PDC could have done a better here with putting this US one up the top there, that information, because now it all
it's a
looks a
good
bit
point.
jaggedy.
Yep,
Anyway,
true.
World Series of Darts, and we can have a bit of a debate here. Is there quite as much rotation in the World Series line? So we got Humphreys, Littler, Van Gogh, and Bunting. I think are going to all of these. Rob Cross as well, except for Poland. Girl and Price will be at all three.
Yep.
Aspinall will be at all three. So so let's look at it. So for the it's the Premier League lineup for those 8 PDC superstars, PDC representatives.
Yep.
Except for at the Nordic Dart Masters, Johnny Clayton comes in,
Yes.
aforementioned that he
Yeah.
would pick it up. He replaces Dobey.
Yep.
At the US Dart Masters, the Australian David Heta will surely have the Bruce Springsteen walk on there in the US.
Good to see.
As he also replaces Dobey,
his
I think.
spot.
Then
Yep.
Dobey comes in for Poland, and Johnny Clayton will be back for the other European World Series event. and his replacement is Luke Humphries. That's right. So we get the main Premier League guys plus one additional guy. Is that enough? I would still like to see like a second one pop in here somewhere. A bit more variety.
I agree. But it's good to see the Aussie Damon Header in.
But Damon Header is that's a big win. I was surprised to see him in there, but it is very good.
I'll be very interested to see how he goes up against the best. Obviously, we were very, very disappointed that he did not get in the Premier League for this year. However, I'm sure he'll make a case for next year.
And you do need to have these sort of guys play a bit more often just to see how they go against these big guys in a Premier League-ish environment, non-ranking, big marketing sort of event. If we look at, so David had a very good to see him there. Just looking at the local representatives, guys like Rasma de Graaf, Kordecker there for
Victor Tingstrom as well.
Event. In the US, Campbell, Van Dungen, Lorby Long, and Gates.
My man, Leonard Gates.
He had to be there.
We've also got the qualifiers there, the order of merit on the the bottom three there, which we don't know.
So there's still a couple of places yet to be found. Christopher Tajski is the headline, obviously, for the Poland Sedlacek's there as well, who's played some good stuff recently. Yes, interesting.
Bielewski, he's there. Yep, some good guys there, and plus two
the CDC,
Polish and the
CDC ran an event
as well.
A few weeks ago. I think it was a sort of Canada versus US team event that looked like pretty strong and well done overall. Leonard Gates is going to be a character as well. Who I almost think, who would Leonard Gates sort of best line up with? Would you want someone like Bunting or Heta for the walk on? Would you want to see him theatric with Gowan Price on stage? Is he? Or do you want someone like Luke Humphries or Michael Van Gogh just to play the straight man sort of thing? What would best line up against the character that is Leonard Gates? Do you want more theatrics or do you want your straight man?
If we go the theatrics, probably Aspinall, Mr. Brightside.
Mr. Brightside,
That's just it's a one that goes down for generations, all right? It's a fantastic song, but if not him, who else would you have?
Oh, I'd love
Bunting. You have to go Bunting.
Yeah, probably it's probably Bunting. I think they went for the more
titanium.
What's the word I'm looking for? Engineer some chaos or engineer something memorable.
Imagine being in that crowd at that time, having two fantastic guys with these two massive walk-ons. That'd be hilarious. It'd be so funny.
Yeah, so the World Series coming up soon enough throughout June and July. So we'll be looking forward to those events because they are always interesting, especially now the US Darts Masters, which is such a big event there at Madison Square Gardens at the theatre there. Right, you wanted to talk about the Pro Tour Order of Merit. We know with the European Tour changes, probably not as important, but I think it does give us a good indication as to who's played well because it's over the last year and just on the floor. And Stephen Bunting's heading up the Order of Merit as well. I'm surprised I didn't just throw this in there and it was you instead.
Well, I had a look and I'm like, oh, your man's there. And there's some interesting movement in the order of merits there. I'll go through them quickly. Bunting leads the pack with Chisnell, Rock, Littler, Schindler, Ross Smith, Damon Header in the 7th spot there, Humphries in 8th, Van Gerwen, Clayton, Van Veen, Dobey, Menzies, Searle, Price, and Anderson to
so there's a couple of interesting ones there. Van Gerwen, for all these issues lately, is still top 10 on the floor. Even though he doesn't come across to me the green machine. We've got the green lights here for us as well, which we could mention earlier. He doesn't strike me as someone who'd be the most extraordinary floor player, and I don't think he's made a final or a semi-final on the floor recently. That's probably a more European tour coming through there. But he still has felt like even stronger on the television a bit more, even for all these troubles. Gary Anderson is another one who we speak a lot about as enjoying the floor and the European tour. So it seems I would have expected him a little bit higher at 16.
Won a recent
even David Hanna at 7. Obviously, he was going to be in the top 10, but I even thought he might be a little bit higher still. We know how Dave Chisnell goes on these, and Martin Schindler, who's won a couple of European Tour events recently, is up there as well. So even Cameron Menzies is 13th. He's ahead of Price and Anderson, which is interesting there. But the Pro Tour Order of Merit is just an interesting thing to look at. It sort of gains who is sort of throughout most of the darts that you're playing, who is the most consistent, the most really in good form over the last, because it's only a 1-year system.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is that 1-year system, which makes it interesting, but interesting names popping up. Good to see Bunting in that one spot there. I'm sure you're happy about that.
Oh, yeah, very. If only he meant number 1 on the European Tour, I think he's number 1 on the Play Championship scene. Right.
Interesting names, but good to see.
All right, here we go. Next up, this is one that broke, I think, yesterday, and not too many. We're pretty much the first sort of English-speaking darts podcast to really speak about it. If this is true, it appears to be that Michael Van Gerwen, who is going to play those World Series events, funnily enough, is not going to be at the World Cup. The pairs event there in, I think it's in Frankfurt. It's definitely in Germany. He said he was talking about the. Pro Tour, the European Tour, saying how happy he was with his win and how he's working on some new darts with Wimau. And then asked about the World Cup, he said, "I'm on vacation." So that I butchered that. I'm on vacation. We won't know that out. Anyway, so no Michael Van Gerwen. There was discussion on the Online Darts Live Lounge I was listening to yesterday. They celebrated their 200th episode, actually, as a matter of fact.
Oh, well done.
So the boys there, Jack Garwood, who's now not going to be on it as regularly because he's got more referee commitments, was there with Dan Simpson and, of course, the famous Mr. Phil Bars. They were discussing... could Van Veen, because they were actually talking about it as the European Tour event was going on, could he potentially leapfrog Danny Noppert there for that second spot, Van Veen, but he won't need to, because with Michael Van Gerwen now ruling himself out, he will now, as long as things stand and they don't get sick or anything, it's going to be Danny Noppert and Jan Van Veen who will represent the Netherlands at the World Cup.
Interesting. Well,
but the most...
Van Veen will be there, hopefully, which is good, as he's one that you've been looking at for a while.
I do like him. Well, the interesting thing here is the combined rank gets them to 39, which is currently one below Northern Ireland. So at the moment, as the Darts Oracle pointed out, it means that Netherlands, as of right now, would be the number 5 seed, which means Northern Ireland would be the number 4 seed, and they would have to come through the group stage because the top 4 get seeded through to that last knockout stage, and number 5 would have to come through the group stage. But there is a little loophole here where they could still be a seed even if Michael plays. If they do the draw with Michael Van Gerwen still on the team, and then he doesn't officially say, "I'm out till after the draw," they would keep their current seeding. Now, do you want because that's what happened last year, because Gerwen Price, who did genuinely pull himself out after the draw happened in the week leading up, was replaced by Jim Williams, but they kept their seeding. I think they were the number 2 seed and lost first round anyway. He was 2 or 3 seed. So there's a little bit of shenanigans that could go on here if you're a bit clever, Michael. Now you could argue that it's still better to play some that group stage darts.
Sure.
And particularly Noppert and Van Veen, who I can't imagine have played a lot of pair darts. Maybe they have, I don't know, but with the age difference coming through at different times,
at least,
and it certainly haven't played together at the World Cup. Obviously, Van Veen will be making his debut, so it might be better just to for that chemistry for them still to play a couple of matches. You'd assume they'd win the group and get through, but it would be interesting. And Northern Ireland being the top 4 seed, they're one that I think is one to look out for. I'm looking forward to the World Cup. I do enjoy it as an event.
Always do.
I'm expecting England will run the floor with them, but
of course,
if you just look at the teams we're going to get. The pairs we're going to get, presumably no one pulls out. They're strong. Like the 2 Lukes, obviously, for England. Clayton and Price for Wales. We now know Van Gerwen and Noppert's now Noppert and Van Veen. Scotland's obviously Anderson and Wright. Northern Ireland's going to be Rock and Gurney, who's just ahead now of Brendan Dolan, De Decker and Vandenberg are now firmly the Belgium pair. And Belgium have been very good at World Cups recently without winning it. Schindler and Pietreczku's gone past Clemens now in the German spot. O'Connor and Barry for Ireland. Rachajski and Shudansky for Poland. So some of these teams look particularly right at the top there. The England, the Wales, Netherlands obviously don't look as strong now without Van Gerwen there, but Scotland, Northern Ireland, Belgium, they look some very strong pairings, which will be fun just to see them throw one after the other.
I love the World Cup. It's definitely one of my favourite events in the calendar. That's obviously the World Championships, the Grand Prix, also the double start. That's also good. These just unique tournaments are what makes it really good.
We need as much variety as we can, and the World Cup definitely does that with the pair
fortnight,
changes.
3 weeks ago, new stuff that comes in. We've been talking about the players have even said online. So I'd love to see. Obviously, we had the Whitlock Heta victory just a few years ago. Who will suit up for Australia?
Well, we still don't know for sure.
We don't know.
Part of me still wants it to be Simon. He's clearly the second best Aussie in darts at the moment,
which we'll see in the first week of October.
Yes, we will. Don't forget. I'm also looking forward to that Premier League, because with that Premier League as well, is probably he's a great chance to get back into the World Championships. Probably better than if he kept his cards, because he'd have to go through obviously that top road tour scene. But getting back to the World Cup, no MVG this year. It appears he's going to be on vacation despite taking the money for the World Series. He's going to take that off and prepare for the World Match Play that comes on after that, and World Cup pairs event. Fantastic tournaments, better in recent years now that they've got rid of all those singles matches. The pairs was the unique bit. They've kept it to that, and we look forward as England. Now, there was one last thing with the World Cup I needed to mention. If for whatever reason one of the Lukes can't get in, Josh, who that maybe they fall sick or they want to go on a vacation, who do you know?
Go to Bali.
Yeah, whatever. Who's the number 3 English player in the world?
Oh God, I should know, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you should.
Put me out of my misery.
Stephen.
It would be.
It's Stephen.
I was going to think Cross.
Yeah, no, he's just ahead of Cross at the moment.
I was going to say, Cross, but I'm like, not sure.
Yeah, so they've been flopping back forth. No, it's Stephen's one number 4 now.
Cross, I'm like,
so if for whatever reason, if one of the Lukes can't make it, Stephen Bunting would be playing the World Cup of
pretty
darts,
cool.
which would be awesome. Now, the only one thing I will say is last year, now throughout most of the history, England have worn red, and last year they wore white. I'm not sure I want to see Stephen Bunting in white, but it would be awesome, like. But what would be funny if Humphreys was the one to pull out? Humphreys and Smith won it last year. How funny would it be if the following year neither of them tried to defend the title and the England team was Littler and Bunting? So Bunting is currently the English number 3. He would need one of the Lukes to pull out for him to play, but he is the first reserve. So he is so close to potentially representing his country, Stephen.
And then so Cross will be the second reserve.
And Cross would be the next one down.
I was thinking it was either Cross, I'm like, Bunting's around there, but has he been around that sort of area? I'm not sure, but that makes sense.
So for what it's worth, it's Bunting, Cross, Dobey, Aspinall are the next 4, and then Wade and Chizzy. So those are the plays in the top 16. We won't bother to go down any further. I can't imagine enough will be done to ensure that Daryl Pilgrim will be playing the World Cup. No, that won't be happening. Or else the major concerns of the dart world. Everyone's been struck down with illness or something's gone awry. We will do an emergency podcast.
Dr. P, love that.
Daryl Pilgrim is one of the top 2 English players available for the World Cup. That won't be happening.
That'd be very funny.
So Bunting, I do want to bring that up because I want to see if Bunting is the number 3 English player in the world of darts, and he is not far away from. He just needs one of the Lukes to say no, and he would be there. I don't want to see him in white. The red looks good on him.
Does look
I
good.
can't imagine as well with those walk-ons where they change the songs. They should just if Bunting is there, they'll just do a titanium walk-on alongside whoever he's playing. With. Anyway,
they can both go on stage and do it together.
They can do it all together. Maybe the first 2 will walk on after, because England will be the 1 seed anyway, so they'll walk on second. So we can have 4 players doing the titanium. Everyone up like that. Hey, alrighty. We could talk about the World Cup all day, but we do need to get a move along.
We do.
I'm going to let you speak for a little while now on Modus. The influencer event is sold out, is it?
Yes, there is so much going on that I couldn't put everything on there in time, but the Modus Super Series influencer event is now sold out. There is so many good names that will be there. You can see in the picture there, Robert Thornton, our man. Peter Woodshuri, he will be there. I can't wait to see him. He's also in the pairs week, which we'll get to in just a moment.
Walker,
the Highlander,
Henderson, I believe that's Jimmy Van Ski.
Where is he? Oh yeah, I can take his light. Yes, Jimmy Van Ski is also there. The 6'6" bloke. He's a mountain.
He's a mountain of a darts player.
I'm 6'4" and he's like a head over me. So he's a crazy tall guy. But yes, that is sold out. Good to see. I believe that money goes towards a charity. I believe so. I think already £1,000 has been given towards a charity. I forgot what it was. I should know. That's really poor of me. But good to see that money going to charity, and it's going to be a fantastic event, as it always is. Then we go to the International Pairs Week. I'll get to that in just a moment.
Oh, you want to go to the next slide first?
No, I'll stay here. I'll go to the comments.
Okay, okay, sorry.
So we have the official groups in. We have Scotland, Belgium, Kenya, England, Netherlands, and how do I spell that? Gibraltar, yeah.
That is the small English territory right at the south of Spain, which has been a conflict for ages because it's I don't think it's technically an independent country, but it's sort of one of the last leftovers of the old British Empire.
Oh, really?
And Spain have always wanted it. It's sort of in a nice strategic spot entering into the Mediterranean. But Gibraltar, interestingly, they've always been at every single World Cup of darts, so they do have a good darts. They used to be a European tour there for basically up until 2020. 2023 or 2022, 23. I'm actually pretty sure Damon Hedder won the last Gibraltar European Tour event. I'm pretty sure it was last or second last.
Yep.
So yeah, so that is a place that has, because it's technically by the United Kingdom.
Yep.
It is a darts hotbed, and yes, Gibraltar will be there. Keep going. England as well with King and West is going to be a fun
That's
pairing.
going to be a great matchup. I'm just looking at some of the names. Henderson and Thornton, Scotland. That'll be a fantastic matchup. Brian Rahman, Vandenberg, that'll also be good. What else we got here? Germany, Republic of Ireland, Wales, Richard Bennett and Kurt Parry. There'll be a good lineup there. Who else? Group C. We've got Poland, Northern Ireland, and France. Neil Duff is there. He's a good name. Lots of interesting names in that Group B, Group C, but Group A is stacked.
Yeah, Group A is definitely stacked. However, there is a slight issue here. We've got Gibraltar of all nations. I'm actually going to work out what Gibraltar is. I'm actually going to just read out the start of it. It's a British overseas territory, I think, is how they describe it. Gibraltar is a British overseas territory and a city located at the southern tip of the Iberian Peninsula on the Bay of Gibraltar, near the exit of the Mediterranean Sea into the Atlantic Ocean. It is an area of 6.8 kilometers squared, so it is very small, bordered to the north by Spain. And it's been a place of disputes because Spain have always wanted it, but England have always been able to hold on, even through the many wars that have happened in Europe in recent times. The last couple hundred years. They've always been able to hold on to it, the English. It is a British overseas territory.
Interesting. Well,
and a place where there are always quite a few dart players. Anyway.
There's a small history lesson there by Lorenzo there. So interesting. We also got Republic of Ireland. Shane McGurk is in Champions League, which we'll get to shortly.
For what it's worth, it holds, its population is like 34,000.
They got some good darts players there, it seems.
There are always at least 2 or 3 dart players.
Like, you just think that they're everywhere. Like, you think of India of all places, and they got some decent dart players coming from there. Not featuring this installment, but the one thing...
I didn't know.
That comment. No Australia.
You got 20 likes on it too.
I got 20 likes, so this is my comment on Instagram, I think it was. And I said, no Australia. Mason Simon, you serious? I saw it. I'm like, oh, surely they'll be featuring Group A somewhere. But no, they're not. And I went on Instagram in utter dissatisfaction. And you're like, oh, don't worry. They'll be in the next one.
I can only assume they'll be in the second international pairs. I'm not even sure when that is later in the year. Look, I'm going to...
August,
I think it's August, somewhere around there, yeah. I would expect Australia to be in that. It is a bit disappointing that Gibraltar have gone ahead of Australia and, Poland as well. Nevertheless, perhaps Mason couldn't be there, or Simon, maybe, I don't know. At any rate, there will be no Australia. I'm still going to watch it because pairs dart is great.
Love pairs darts, yep.
And
some good names.
Look, we're going to have plenty of amazing... A thought came to me recently. This obviously is the start of May. We're only a few weeks away from A.D. Lewis.
I was
setting
just
up in
thinking that earlier today. He said it'll be sometime in May.
Sometime.
I've got a prediction right here, and we can clip this. He will be in the first week in Group A.
All right, there you go.
In the next series after Champions Week. Book that now. He's going to be in the first week.
In series, what is it, 11?
Series 11. He said sometime in May. It's going to be the first week, Group A, 9:30 a.m. Monday morning. It's going to be there in Portsmouth. He's going to be there.
All right.
There you go.
I'm slightly leaning towards week 2 or 3. I'm not sure they're going to throw him in straight away, but you might be right. We'll see who's right.
We'll find out. Right. We'll find out. But yes, I was very dissatisfied there. They'll be in August, but hopefully we will see him there shortly. That's for sure, because I love pair darts. We love pair darts.
Darts is good. Now,
seeing Simon Mason be together playing darts would be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be good. Week 11 and 12, David Evans and Jared Cole were winners of the 2 weeks that we missed, because, again,
apologies. I couldn't find David Evans's winning picture there, but that is Jared Cole, which both will feature in Champions. If we go to the next slide,
might as well get straight into it. So here is the weekly winners. Small, Walker. I've said this every week, so I might as well complete them all. Alex Small, Jason Walker, Sam Spivey, Shane McGurk, Reece Robinson, Scott Campbell, Derek Colson, Devon Peterson, Mervyn King, David Davies, David Evans, and Jared Cole. Those are the weekly winners from Series 10, and this is how they're breaking down. Colson, Campbell, McGurk, Small, King, and Walker in A, Spivey, Peterson, and Davies in B, and Evans, Cole, and Robinson in Group C, with obviously Group A members feeding into those groups throughout the week, as we know.
Yep, as we know. So, look, it's a very good lineup. We've been seeing some good
It's very strong.
Yep, big names. All of them are big names. I mean, winning a weekly week at Modus is an achievement in itself. Being the Champions Week to win £25,000 in the end game is something else in itself. But yeah, Shane McGurk's been good. Colson, Campbell will see the Group 8 standings in just a moment. But it's all been good. So this is the current standings. Very close in the top 4. 16, 14, 12, 10 there. Derek Coulson leads on 8 wins. Shane McGurk closely behind on 7. Campbell on 6, Mervyn King on 5. In the last day of action, we're at day 2, and today is day 3. Who will get the win? Derek Coulson's been very good. He was on actually a very good run. He was at, I think it was a 16-win streak coming from his last previous weekly win.
Yep.
So he's going to be an interesting one to watch. My prediction, I think Shane McGurk will go through to finals night, winning Group A, and the rest will trickle down as we know. But that's my guess. But again, Tuesday was moving day, but again, anyone can win today at the games. Who do you reckon will go through?
Yeah, I like McGurk to potentially be McGurk or Coulson. I think we'll find it out. But in terms of, do you have an overall Champions Week winner across? We might go back to this one.
Yes,
So any one of these 12s. I just have this feeling that he isn't going to get through Group A. He'll probably slide into Group B, and then Mervyn King will just go about his business, make his way through.
I have a feeling he's
surprise,
yep.
Maybe even finish second in the group on finals night, and then win those couple of semi-finals. He feels like one of those players. So I'm leaning towards Mervyn King of all of them, with that extra experience as well. Yep. Obviously, with his entire darts career, I like Mervyn King potentially to win it all.
Yeah, interesting.
Who would you like? Who would you like to see win? Who do you reckon can win it?
Yes. I did have a feeling you'd say that. I'm leaning to King as well, but if it wasn't him, I think Shane McGurk will be there. I think he'll get through to Group A. He's second at the moment on the table. He's only one game behind with a healthy leg win difference there, but I think he will be the winner and get himself £25,000.
Yep. Alrighty. So that's where things stand in Modus. I haven't fully updated the Premier League spreadsheet. I've tried to, and there's a couple of errors, and I've moved it around. I was going to actually bring up and say one thing. There's a few players who play each other 4 or 5 times now, which sort of surprised me, but we might do that next week when I make sure everything is correct. Right, the week ahead we are truly into coming into the back end of the show. Night 12 of the Premier League is Stephen Bunting's home event in Liverpool. Who's going to win it, Josh? Humphreys Aspinall plays first. This is a fascinating matchup.
Very.
Humphreys clearly not... he might be one that's also sort of waiting for the O2 and other things to come his way. And Aspinall in strong form. Who gets the chockies this week?
Given Aspinall's
disagree
recent
over a few
form,
of these.
Yes, I think we will for whatever reason. I think Aspinall will get the win on this one. He had that weekly win a fortnight ago. He looked good. He looked good last week as well. I think he'll win against Humphreys. We'll go 6-4 in this one. I was gonna say 3, but I reckon 6-4.
All right, I'll agree with you.
Okay.
But I'll give Coolhan one less leg, 6-3. I'll
Okay.
go. You were tempted to go like that.
I'll
finish off. I'll kick it into the goal. Van Gogh and Littler in the replay, of course, of the World Final.
Both in very good form, as
Yes.
we know. MVG got that recent win there. If he wins, he'll be back to his best.
Does he? Does it carry in that form? The Green Machine.
This one's literally a toss of the coin for me. I'll be dead honest. I reckon MVG 6-4. It'll be that close.
I'll go the same score to Littler. Like I said earlier, he had a really strong week, so I'm expecting him to sort of feature a little bit. Cross Bunting. I saw Cross hasn't been 100%. I think he's taking some tablets, so hopefully he'll get there and we won't have a short night. Stephen said that it was an emotional occasion for him to get back in the Premier League. Will that be on his mind for his home event? Will the home crowd lift him over and he'll continue his march to winning this Premier League after giving everyone an 8-week head start, which is all in the plan?
I said to you, if he wins the Premier League, I'll buy this bucket hat.
This bucket hat with Stephen's face on it, which I'm not even sure I want, but sure, 100%. If he wins the Premier League...
That's a great present for whatever reason. For
we
Christmas,
might bring it up next week, especially if he wins it in his
place. If he wins it, we'll bring it up even more. But there's this bucket hat online. I'm like, you know what?
Stephen's cartoon face.
Given his place at the moment, if he wins, I'll buy it for him. But
alrighty,
the game, Cross v Bunting, we'll go back to that, hey?
Yes.
Bunting in this one, we'll go 6-3.
All right, I agree. Bunting 6-4. We'll give Cross a little bit more. Hopefully, it's a good match, but I think the crowd will get him over the line. Mind you, we probably forgot to mention that there were a few people trying to put Bunting off at the end of that particular match against Michael Van Gogh, but he was able to hold his nerve, and it's one of the few times where the crowds were against him, obviously, because it was in the Netherlands. Usually, he's the crowd favourite. Right, Price and Dobey will finish off our quarterfinals. A very important quarterfinals. So many of these quarterfinals, if Aspinall loses and a couple of players win, he sort of gets bunched back in. I feel like this is probably the most important match for the finals night contention. Price 15 points and Dobey now up into 6th. What happens? This is a good match.
I got to say, all these matches are very well put, given recent form and also just
you look at the fixture for the next few weeks for quarterfinals. It's strong.
It's incredibly strong. Like there is no easy match now
At all.
Given Bunting had his win, given
Dobey
had his nightly win,
Van Gogh's won a Euro Tour.
MVG, yep, exactly.
They've all won pretty much something all year, pretty much.
Very much so. Yep. Everyone's basically won something as of recently.
It doesn't, not even in the European Tours. Obviously, Littler wins everything. Humphries wins a lot. Bunting won on a World Series and a Premier League night. Cross won a World Series. Yeah, so they've all picked up a trophy some point, if it's in the Premier League, if it's a major, or on the World Series.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly. Okay, we'll go Dobey 6-2 on this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was leaning towards Dobey as well, but I'm not that confident it's going to be that one side. I think Price will put up more of a fight. 6-4 Hollywood. Who wins?
Okay.
This is where Josh usually writes at the bottom of the spreadsheet of the rundown, so he doesn't forget who he picked. Now I remember who I picked as well. I picked Aspinall. The only one, surprisingly, I thought we were going to disagree on a few more. The only one is Van Gogh and Littler there.
All right, in the final. So at the top bracket, Aspinall v MVG. I will go. Oh my god, mate! They honestly, I've already
worked out mine.
I'm being dead serious. I'm being dead serious. All right, we'll go Aspinall. I think he'll come back. I reckon we'll go 6-4 for him. Bottom bracket, we'll go. Oh god, it is so close. Honestly, it is so close.
I already worked out my one.
Dobey 6-4. So now we have Aspinall v Dobey in the final.
What a final!
I'm gonna go Aspinall. I'm gonna go the Asp. He had a great run of form in the nightly win he had, and also last week. And I'll go him in a very intense final, 6-4.
All right, we're gonna go
Dobey.
Completely different with our finalists.
Let's go.
I reckon I'm gonna say the two players in the final, and I reckon they'll either one or both will either make the final, so they'll either make the final and win their semi-final, or they won't even make it out of the quarterfinal stage. That's how this sort of Premier League life feels. But I reckon, with the home crowd on his side and with the emotion that it brings, I don't think there'll be a distraction, particularly if Cross isn't 100% and Price and Dobey play a close match before him. I am picking Stephen Bunting to pick up his second trophy. It's going to be homecoming, and I reckon he's going to beat Luke Littler in the final. He's going to put his head back on straight after those darts the last few weeks. He's going to pick up that 5th Premier League nightly win, and he probably will, but not quite this week. 6-5 last leg decider.
Okay, wow.
Bunting wins.
Fascinating.
Bunting, knowing a Bunting Littler match, Bunting probably takes out a crucial break of throw in either the 11th or the 10th leg. So that'll probably happen somewhere in there. So I'm going Bunting over Littler in the final. You've got Aspinall over Dobey.
Correct.
It's wide open this year.
Wide open.
Premier League. We should also mention European Tour 5 coming up in Austria. Now, they had a bunch of faces on there, but Menta Sulovic was at the most recent European Tour. Let me just take a quick look at the entry list. There is no looks, funnily enough. The number one... Is this right? Is this right? All right. Okay, sure, fine. The number one seed is Johnny Clayton. Why not? Number 2 is Stephen Bunting. David Hatter is 3. A lot of the guys are skipping this European Tour very quickly.
That's true.
Is this really right? This looks like something out of last year. Anyway, Clayton 1, Bunting 2, Hatter 3, and Aspinall 4. Interesting. Yeah. Now, 2025, I'm looking at the 2025 one. This year, I can only assume that the people put on the Wikipedia, I trust in their hands that they got it right. Johnny Clayton, the number 1 seed, ahead of Bunting. Wow, the cutoff for this must have been a couple of weeks ago. When was the cutoff for this? The 27th of March. Yeah, okay. So that explains why Clayton, he would have been ahead of Bunting at that point. Because that was when Bunting was in a bit of a slump and was struggling to win anything. Hatter, Aspinall, Dobey. Yeah, all right, there you go. Who's some of those 2-card holders qualifies? Van Peer, Sedlacek again, Ian White, wow, Mickey Mansell.
Mickey Mansell, my man.
Matt Campbell, William O'Connor. Right, so that's going to be an interesting one. European Tour, many of the big names, many of the Lukes and Michael not there, but Gezi will be there, Wright will be there, Bunting will be there, Hatter will be there, Aspinall will be there, Dobey will be there. Right, we got women's 3 has been confirmed as well for the Modus Super Series after Champions Week. We should probably put this with the, I guess this is week ahead stuff, because we'll be talking about this next week.
Yes,
Hutchison, Pauling, Ashton, Hayter, Gulliver, and Chrissy there in Group A.
Yep.
Right, here we go. This is what I was expecting. Darts Archive. I could have edited some of that stuff on the side, but I didn't remember about. He did break Michael Van Gogh's 44-match winning streak with a 7-5 victory. Took out some crucial darts at double and held on for a very memorable win. And it was the Dutchman his fellow Dutchman, Michael, who unseated Raven Barneveld's Rainbow Martin Belt ended that great run from Michael Van Gogh, and that was a very good match from the 2017 Premier League Night 8. You promised us a Darts Archive match,
did.
and you have delivered.
I was
thinking maybe the Premier League, but you've gone to that Austrian Darts Open theme. We're going MVG and... so the two Michaels, MVG is in all of these Darts Archive matches. He plays Michael Smith, number 1 and 11 seed, interestingly.
Yes.
In first to 6 as well, so
That's
a shorter
the
format game. This is
Takes
what
on
those European
Smith and
tours
Vienna.
were at the
It's a
time
very
in
good
Vienna.
battle. Yes, very good battle in this one. Very high caliber darts, good averages. And went down to a last leg decider. I'm just not going to say who it is, and a big fish was reeled in as well.
I know this was a match, but we got a big fish reeled in. We got a last leg decider. I'm looking forward. I don't think I've seen this
Pretty
match.
good. Yeah, it's only 15 minutes or so.
So a nice quick one for you this week. All right, I might watch that even later today.
Yeah, it's a good game, so go home and watch it at home. I have done it for once. The Darts Archive.
Do you want to do it again next week?
I will do it again next week.
All right, you will
we'll
again. I've got one for a couple of weeks now when we're in that Aberdeen Premier League night. When's that? So at night 12. You might do it for the next couple of weeks, but that Aberdeen one is night 15, the 15th of May. I'll have one for that particular week. Alrighty, that concludes yet again another big episode. Thank you, Josh, for sitting down with me.
Pleasure as always.
We got through it in a reasonably good time, I think. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. 2 extra time. So much content on its way. We're going to be talking, me and Woodsy, very soon about the weekend of football, which saw the Geelong Cats get another great win on the board.
And
against
Carlton won. Come on.
Yeah, Carlton won as well, but I need to see more of Carlton. Alrighty, thank you very much, Josh, again. We'll speak next week.
We will indeed.
There'll be plenty more darts. We'll have a Modus Super Series Champions Week champion to discuss sort of the main thing there. We might even put him on the thumbnail unless Stephen Bunting wins Premier League 9, in which case he goes up there all the time. Alrighty, thank you very much for listening to the podcast today. Apologies again for not having one last week, but we will be definitely back next week on the last day of April, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
Night 6 will be episode 16. We'll have plenty of Premier League and Modus, as well as everything else happening on the Planet Darts to discuss. Thank you once again, Josh.
No worries.
And thank you for listening. This has been the 9 Dart Podcast.